I wanted to introduce you guys to Derek Coburn, who is the author of an Amazon.com bestseller, #1, called Networking is Not Working, and hopefully you've all gotten a copy of this when you checked in. But we'll spend a few minutes chatting about it, and then we'll bring up Lisa to talk about Startup Land, and then Jen Boss will talk about the DC Digital Tech Fund, and then we have our investor panel right after that. So the question for Derek, if we could just jump in, why do you think networking is not working? And how do you define networking?
And thanks for having me, by the way, and good to see all of you. I think there's a number of reasons, but I think first and foremost that if we were to ask every single person in this room to define networking, we would probably get a different answer from everyone. And it's not to say that some would be right and others would be wrong, but I think that some people approach networking to try to land clients immediately. Some people look to leverage it as a way to find a new job or a new career. Others, like myself and I think a lot of you, network as a way to meet other successful people, professionals that you can collaborate with and are really focused on the long term. And so I use the term networking 3.0 in the book, where networking 1.0 is where you're networking to benefit yourself directly. Networking 2.0 is to benefit the person that you're just meeting for the first time, which I think there's some potential downside involved with that. And then 3.0 is where you're doing it to benefit your existing clients and your existing network and looking for ways you can add value for them.
Right. So networking 2.0 and 1.0 were not working, but why will networking 3.0 work?
Well, I'll share a quick story. So about 5 years ago, when I was exclusively running the wealth management business, I had a client call me up and he said, I referred to him as David the Landscaper in the book. I changed his name. He said, look, I had one of my great clients come up to me and say that they have their brother-in-law who is a financial advisor. They wanted him to take a meeting with this other advisor. He assured them that he was happy with me and wasn't looking to make a change, but they said, you'll be doing us a great favor just by taking the meeting. So he let me know about it. He called me up the next morning, said 45 minutes into this meeting, he was presented with a hypothetical portfolio and had my client invested his money with this firm instead of with me over the past couple of years, he would have earned an extra 2 to 3% per year. And my client's response was, well, Derek has referred me $2 million worth of business, worth of revenue to my company. So in theory, he could have lost half the money in my portfolio, which I obviously didn't do, and I would have been better off from a net perspective. And it was an aha moment for me because I was doing that sort of thing already, but wasn't intentional about it. And I think for many of us, our primary competition is indifference. And the more that we can leverage a network, the more that we can find ways to add value above and beyond our core deliverable, the more we can be, we can separate ourselves from the pack.
Mm-hmm. So I know everyone's going to read the book, but if we don't have time to read the book, the whole book, what are 2 or 3 key things you want to get home to your reader?
All right, so I was attending an event hosted by Seth Godin about 1.5 years ago, and he had a quote. He said, "We are now entering the connection revolution, and the value of your connections is likely to be worth more than the value of the service or the widget that you provide." And so I think that really hit home for me, and obviously it relates to the story that I just told. But take Jenny Stippelman. Where are you, Jenny? Is she here? All right, hey Jenny. So Jenny is with Eagle Bank. She's my banker. Before I met Jenny, I was fine with my existing bank. They were doing a good job for me. They were providing fine value, but Jenny started inviting me to events. She started to introduce me to potential clients. So it wasn't that I disliked my bank, and Eagle Bank is certainly a very good bank in their own right, but this is something that breaks the tie and makes it very easy for me and for others to be able to say, you know what, I would much rather work with somebody that's thinking about me and my business in addition to doing a great job providing their core deliverable.
Terrific. So you want to talk for a minute about Cadre? Which
sure,
is sort of your other
book
side.
Too. I think if you want to talk about that process, but
well, yeah, let's talk about the book. I don't know, is anyone in the room wanting to write a book or has written a book? because Derek is now an expert in, oh, we got one, Bob London. All right, we got one person, but
Don't do it.
if anyone's thinking about it or if it's on your bucket list, it's definitely on my bucket list. And I see friends of mine writing books, and I'm blown away by how much time it takes and how difficult it is and everything else. But what motivated you to write the book? I know you worked your butt off to get it to perfection. And how did it become #1 in Amazon? I mean, what chord did it strike for it to reach #1?
All right, so your first question, sort of what motivated me to write the book. And at first I was thinking about just writing a manifesto as a way to promote Cadre, as a way to grow my audience, if you will. But writing is very difficult. It's very difficult to do it unless it's a completely selfless act. And I was I probably had a 4-week interval where I listened to 2 of Stephen Pressfield's audiobooks, Do the Work and The War of Art, where it's really about you're doing it just to give. And it wasn't until I got to that point that I could really get into the flow of writing, where I felt like I was putting something out there that could potentially help people. And I would say that writing now is easier. It's easier than the process that I went through. It's easier than ever because there's a lot of great people that you can involve, which is what I did. And I would say that I think we're at the very early stages of a hockey stick type growth curve where more and more people are going to Amazon and entering keywords because they want more information on a particular topic than they would get via a blog by going to Google. Mm-hmm. And so what I did not do, but what's available and could be potentially a great way to attract clients for probably everyone in this room, is that you can get a lot of your ideas down on paper. You can then hire an editor, a structural editor, have a conversation with them where they're recording the conversation, get a lot of your ideas and thoughts down on paper so it's still completely your content, your voice, but they're helping you sort of get through the writing process. And I found out about that after I spent 15 months writing it myself.
Mm-hmm. But that's great, because I've known you for a few years, and I know that you obviously, people don't make money writing books. So
I spent about 25 to 30 grand
to write the book.
Yep,
and,
just hiring different editors, cover designers, interior designers. When you're self-publishing, I think it's more important to make sure it has a real professional look and feel to it. So.
And you managed every aspect of it. You didn't outsource any of the ghostwriting. It wasn't ghostwritten. It was you actually put pen to paper pretty much, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, what's next? I mean, is there a sequel? Are you doing books, and we're going to see you at 3 a.m. on infomercials? What's next for Derek Coburn and the sort of, this is I guess that's a logical next step, right? Are you going to hit the speaker circuit? Are you going to do a sequel?
It's interesting. I mean, I think that having a lot of options is a good thing, and the feedback's been very overwhelming. The book came out a month ago today, and it's still #1 in marketing and sales because my network, which isn't that big, by the way. I mean, I have 1,200 subscribers on my blog. I had 900 Twitter followers, but it was people that I feel like I had helped and added value for over the years, and it was really the first time I had asked them for help. And so that got the initial bump. And once you get that initial bump, it leads to Amazon promoting it for you. So I've had all sorts of requests. I mean, I received an email from someone at Procter & Gamble asking me if I would come speak at their conference on connection. And I said, can you tell me more about it? And they said, well, it's a conference to help their employees develop stronger connections and bonds between each other. And that is the last thing I should be talking about. If any of you want that opportunity, let me know, and I'll make an introduction. I'm still at the point now where I'm processing all of it, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, Amazon. So people are searching on the keyword networking, obviously. So I mean, I think from my standpoint, I can see that there's so many events everywhere. Your calendar's crowded. And maybe people are tired of doing the big events, right? And I think your book, I don't want to give away the secret here, but some of the things Derek talks about is not quantity, it's more quality. But before I let you go, I do have a question about social networking. Okay. What are your thoughts on that for the people in the room? There's different tools out there. There's, Courtney here is tweeting like crazy. I mean, in terms of building meaningful relationships, what role does social networking play, in your opinion?
So I think that this idea of networking 3.0, where you're focusing on trying to help your existing clients in your network, probably the best networking event that any of us could go to at any time is Twitter, okay? And that is where you can very strategically set up lists, look for keywords, find ways that you can not only help people that you know, but help people that you're looking to meet. And my general rule of thumb for Twitter is if I would not walk into a room like this with everyone here and yell something out loud, or at least tell people about it, I'm not going to tweet it. And I think too many people are focused on pushing their own stuff out there and worried about people following them back or not following them back, when in reality, you can follow whoever you want. You can identify the people that you want to develop relationships with, and you can listen to them and learn how you might be able to help them and add value. And to that extent, it's opened up a lot of doors for me.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I think we're out of time. So Lisa, if you could come up, and Derek, you want to plug the Cadre event coming up?
Sure. So
yeah,
next Thursday we are hosting our university series with two best-selling authors, marketing geniuses. The first is John Jantz. So if you've heard of duct tape marketing before, he just came out with a new book called Duct Tape Selling. And then Ryan Holiday, who's often compared to as a modern-day P.T. Barnum. He's done all of the marketing launches for Tim Ferriss, Tucker Max, James Altucher, and wrote a really good book about stoicism and turning obstacles that appear in our lives into advantages. So,
are there tickets still available?
They are.
Great. Thank you. Thanks
so
for
much,
coming,
man.
Derek. Oh, Derek's gonna. Wait, can you stick around? Okay. So, if any of you want an autograph too, Derek will do a little book signing afterwards. So, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah.